Good evening, everyone. Welcome to my craft room. It is Sissy from Sissy's Cards and Crafts. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Eastern Ontario, Canada. So this is the catalog. If you have been following Stampin' Up! For a while, we had the annual catalogs, the mini catalogs, and then they introduced online products that we're switching up all the time, I believe quarterly. And then they decided this year we're still doing the online exclusives. So always keep an eye on that because they do change. And then they've also released this, what is it, May, June, July, August. So yeah, it's every 3 times a year they're going to put out a catalog. So it's not quite as big as, I've got a dimensional stuck on the back of it, as the previous ones, but it does have everything in it. And then, like I say, it goes along with your online exclusives as well. This is where you're going to go for your tools that are always available, the inks, the cardstock, all of those things that are pretty consistent, and you will find everything in here. So it's a great catalog. It is online, and then of course you can order one, have one paper one if you like one in the hand, which I do. And if you place an order with me of $50 or more, I will have a free catalog sent to you. But remember, I am a Canadian demonstrator and you have to be in Canada to place an order with me. All right, so last week we did a suite out of the catalog. This week we're doing an older online exclusives. It is the Sweet Bugs bundle, or Cute as a Bug suite, item number 167007, and it in Canada is 103.75. It is adorable. It might be one of those ones that is heading out, but being the beginning of summer, I thought let's use this because it is so cute. So it comes with the bundle, which is the dies and the stamps. So you have your dies. There's 22 dies, 14 stamps, the DSP or designer series paper, 12 by 12 sheets, and some of the dies cut out some of the characters in the DSP, which is always amazing. Then it comes with this gorgeous ribbon, which I didn't have last night to show you, but it's very soft and pliable. Maybe not the best for making bows. And it does fray fairly easily, so you might want to just take very, very cautiously a lighter and just singe the ends. Like you just need a little bit of heat from that lighter to singe the ends, then it won't fray. If you do it too long, of course, it'll burn, or it will become very hard on the ends, and you don't want that either, like the melted polyester. Then it also comes with these cute little gems, which I've just kind of thrown everything over here and I've got a pile of them. So these sweet little ladybugs, and then these clear gems. Let me see, I've got green here. Maybe that brings them out a little bit so you can see the clear. A lot of people are saying, they're like a dewdrop, which is very much what I would agree with. Okay, so last night we made a card. It wasn't this one because remember I used the other two cute little sweet bugs in that. These little moths, and then the butterflies. And we talked about layering, and we use the different types of embossing. So tonight I thought, you know what, let's stick with the layering because it is something that's really helpful and just adds that little extra to a card like I showed last night. Before we move on though, and before I forget, the product of the month. So if you place $100 order or more, you can purchase this stamp set for $7. It's only available in this month, and when it's gone, it's gone. And you can only order one. So it is sweet. We will be hopefully playing with that next week, maybe. I guess my order's coming next week. All right, take a sip. So I thought we'd stick with the layering. We're going to do this card, and this time, instead of, we focused on the DSP here and the colors, but it was more of that scene. Where here, we're going to just kind of break it up a little bit and just add a little bit of difference. This is such an easy layout to do. Once you have your measurements, you're kind of golden, and you can do it with many other types of cards or DSP. So I thought, I wanted to just show you inside this one. I didn't do a sentiment. I just kind of left a blank page, and I fussy cut as a bit of a scenery out. So, when you've got just that person that needs just some encouraging words, you can just write a note and send that off. Of course, you can stamp in there as well if you want to. Okay, so we've got our card base. Again, all of the measurements will be on my blog. I haven't uploaded them yet, but hopefully they will be tomorrow. Today was grocery day. And then, of course, here we are sitting late again, which I would say, it's Tuesday, late Tuesday evening. But as I look at the clock, it's actually, Wednesday morning, very early, because I had another crash again. And I mean crash by just, I was so tired. I did groceries, like I say, tons of construction. Oh my goodness. I knew there was some in our little village here, and then I was heading into town, and of course there was 2 more construction sites that plugged up the roadways, and I was just like, oh. So coming back home, of course it was around school, the end of school day, and I'm like, I didn't want to get on the 401. We do live right beside the 401, and that's sometimes the best way to go, but I just did not want to fight with that today. So I was trying to find different ways home. So I picked up a pizza because Josh said he was going to buy us pizza for supper because he really wanted pizza. So I picked that up and thought, okay, I don't have to make supper. I won't have such a crash tonight like I had been, but I did. After supper, I could barely. My husband works nights, and he was getting ready for work, and I'm like, I've got to go to the bath again. And then I went and laid down, and I went right off to sleep, and I woke up, and I didn't even know if I had made it, like if it was the next day or what was going on. I could see it was either dusk or it was sunrise. And we had yet to watch Dallas, so I was hoping it was dusk. Okay, so you can see what I've done is I've taken that thin strip and I've adhered it to the cardstock. So I'm using the blueberry bushel and the old olive, and then we're just going to layer them on. With this one, I just glued them down. I think with this one, I'm actually going to bump them up with some dimensionals. I thought I had an open package here. I don't want to open another package, but let me see. I don't know if you're aware, but you can get dimensionals that are dark, which are really nice when you're working on black cardstock. And this is a package that comes with both the large and mini ones. And then I've got some large ones here. I guess this one was opened. This is one of the things that when there is free shipping, order some because you will use them. I'm just down to my last on this one here, so I would get some more out. Okay, so yeah, let's try bumping these up. Make sure you're orientated, your pattern is orientated in the right way. Your card opens the right way. And I like to just kind of lay them that way. With this pattern of the DSP, it really doesn't matter, but just make sure you're aware of that. So yeah, back to my kind of crashing midday. My rheumatologist had said, you know, I maybe should get some more blood work done through my family physician. I'm going to save those long ones for another time, but I do use them up. My thyroid, she said to get that checked. Some of the medications I'm on for the arthritis do make me really sleepy, but they tend to be, it's a monthly or a weekly rather injection. And so I kind of find, you know, maybe the day or two after I do it, I'm like kicked in the teeth and I'm really tired. But I actually didn't take it the last couple weeks because I had a sore throat and I just wasn't feeling the greatest. And, you know, you're not supposed to. You can't take antibiotics when you're on it. And so, anyway, long story short, I know it's not that medication. So maybe I do need to get my thyroid checked. But oh man, exhausted. Like it's not even tired, it's just full on exhaustion. Okay, so that's my middle piece. What I suggest is lay these out first. And again, you're going to want to use glue if you're not 100% on this, because you can then smush it around a little bit, and you have a bit of time to go. Now, I'm also noticing here, this is what, an eighth, yeah, about an eighth of an inch. So that's what I did for this particular card. When I adhered the side ones, I just made sure they were like an eighth of an inch in, and I did the two sides and then the middle. So that's what I'm going to do again. But another little trick that I'm seeing people do, which I think is quite brilliant, because these, if you're going to use dimensionals, they do stick quite quickly. I mean, I'm going to just lightly lay them down here. And that tends to keep them from, like, I'm not going to push that down yet. And so if I do have to move it, I can. But if you are apprehensive and you do want to use dimensionals, you can put a little bit of the liquid glue on there, and that will give you a good strong adhesion in the end, but it also gives you your wiggle room. So I've yet to try it. It makes sense. I think for some things, I will definitely try it. This, I'm pretty confident with these three pieces, but in a minute, I'll show you where I maybe shouldn't have been so confident and kind of give you a heads up. Okay, with this cute little bee. Oh my goodness, I think he's adorable. All right, so now they're all on. Squish them down. There we go. And that's a little tiny bee. He is so cute. All right, so I think so far I like the dimensionals a little bit more. Like I said, I like to see that dimension in my project. Color is important, texture is important, and of course the patterns here is texture. The feel of it is there's no texture, but the pattern itself is my texture. This ribbon adds the texture also. And what we're going to do, I could have put these under here. I probably still could if I wanted to fiddle and fart and get that under these. But you know what? I don't see any harm in going right behind the card. Just make sure it's flat here and it's not twisted. So I run it through the card, make sure it stays flat. Pull this through. I, like many card makers, like to save my as much as I can of my ribbon and don't cut it off until after I've tied it. And then that way I'm not going to waste any pieces, because if I cut a long strip off, then you tend to have to cut that down. as I said earlier, this isn't quite the one to use for bows. It just doesn't work as well for a bow, but a nice little knot works well. Okay, so there we go. That ribbon is sweet, and like I've said before, just tie a knot in the end of an elastic and then run the around, and then I've always got something to hold my ribbon together, plus I've got this little end to grab and pull off. So there we go. Opens up, lickety split like that. Awesome. I didn't cut a piece for the inside. I thought I had a piece for there, but for some reason, not seeing. You should see my desk. It's crazy messy right now. I'm trying to keep things organized, but it's just not happening. Not happening. My squeaky chair. Could just use this piece for in the middle. Okay, so what did I have? 4 3/4. Let's go with that. That looks to be good. And so we can just have that inside for people to write on, and we will adhere that in a minute. All right. So I brought out these yesterday. The Creative Haven stamps. I looked up, the dies are on Last Chance. So a great deal for them. And they are awesome. They're very universal dies. You can see here I use this one. And then they have this nice little greenery that went quite well with this background greenery. So awesome. Even just little tags, like at Christmas time, you've got tags. So I can show you here how they work. So obviously this one, and I left that part in there. Okay. So you have this where you've got a hole. It's going to punch that little hole that you can run a ribbon through. So for Christmas gifts, whatever, that works really, really good. You've got a large and small one of that. If you wanted to layer, so you have that border around, you could layer that on like that. You know, you've got this here, but you could still, maybe you cover that up with something, but that would look nice. Very versatile there. Then you have this one, and this one right now there's a set of dies. I forget what they're called, but they you can get quite large ones and smaller ones. So this is a popular shape. If you don't want, and you don't see the need of having all of the sizes, then this is a good alternative. Then you have this insert piece. I'll pull this one off because I just want to pull one off. But you have a circle and you have kind of a slit where you can run a ribbon. So that is meant to utilize with this die, just as you go to cut your paper out, just insert this as well, and it just kind of butts up to the end there. And then when you cut it, you've got that little piece there to run a ribbon through, or like I say, there's one here with a little circle. So awesome, awesome. Then there is this arch one, which again, there's the arch, whole set of arch dies. If you just think you're going to use it for a label and you don't need the whole set, a good one. And then there's the two little arch pieces here that do the same thing. You can just kind of butt that up to the end, and then you when you cut it out, you'll have a little slit for a ribbon. So awesome for Christmas tags. It doesn't have to come with the stamps. Right now, unfortunately, the stamps have been sold out. They were a last chance thing, and they are now gone. This one as well, you can use those little arched pieces for. Okay, so I wasn't going to use that one, but I didn't apparently. I went ahead and cut this one out to utilize. The top. I don't know if you can hear it, but it just started to downpour here. My goodness, the heavens open and we have rain. So because there was no more stamps for the Creative Haven set, I thought I would do just the stick with the Sweet Bugs one. And I have the Hello Friend. I'm going to coordinate with Poppy Parade. Then there's the Blueberry Bushel, which I don't have Blueberry Bushel ink. And so I think I'm just going to go with more of a neutral. And the Secret Sea works really well as that neutral or that black. Uh-oh, we've got Josh coming. I think he's a little scared. Look at that. He's checking on me. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of lean in. I apologize. Maybe out of frame a little bit, but I need to see what I'm doing. I'm going to aim this more for the upper third. Hold that down. And there we go. See, isn't that a lovely, lovely color? You pretty much think it's black until you compare it with black, and you see it's got a bit of a blue to it, or gray undertone. Works really, really well. All right. So that is what we're going to put, and I'm just going to kind of stick it in there so it almost looks like that's coming out of that knot. And I can use one of these glue dots for that. Actually, let me put these on some dimensionals, and I will just use these edges here like I was saving, if I can get them off. Okay, and I'll just stick, and these rip easy enough. You see demonstrators snipping them, and you could by all means snip them, but I tend to just rip them because it makes it just a smidge easier for me. Because, you know, that's the laziness. All right, so I'm going to pull these off. I might be regretting this in a minute, but and then I'm just going to stick that up there. I'm going to put it on a bit of an angle so it looks like it's kind of blowing in the wind. I'm going to use this blue dot not so much for the tag, but for my ribbon, just to adhere it. These work really well for that. One, they're clear. Two, you can kind of squish them up to make them go where you need them to go. All right, so the Creative Haven dies, awesome purchase, great deal right now. Strongly suggest them. Okay, also we have with the Sweet Bugs set these little strawberries, and I thought, you know what, let's bring in the red to pull out the red on this, and they are just so cute. I am going to glue them on though, because I've already got enough dimension, and you know, if you've ever tried to mail something, it's hard enough and costly enough to mail a letter, probably at the end of my glue here, that if you put some added height to it, you're going to pay even more. But these are cute. I thought they needed to go on, so I'm just going to adhere them to the bottom of the card here like this, just to give that a little bit of cuteness. How's that? So that was, like I said before, one of the things about this Sweet Bugs bundle is you get these teeny tiny dies that they themselves are a gem. I don't really need gems on top of it because they are just so cute. All right, then I thought I would just do some fussy cutting of this picture. If you want to put this on the front of the card, by all means, I think that would be lovely. And that was initially my thought. But then it just, at least with the other one, it just didn't seem to go as well as I wanted it to. So then I thought, you know what, let's make this a note card and just decorate the inside of the card, because that's always nice too, to have it decorated. And then decorating the envelope is something too that's quite easy to do. Definitely stamping something on there. So there is a picture or a stamp of a berry or a little flower. You could stamp that on the front. You could fussy cut out something and put that on the front of the envelope. You could, and quite often I just put some of the DSP on the back flap of the envelope. I think that is a very quick, sweet way of coordinating your cards and just dressing the envelope up a little bit. Or you know what, do all three. It is your card. It is your friend or acquaintance or family member that you are sending it to. Do what you feel works best and what you think will bring a smile to their face. Definitely, I think something on the envelope makes it just a little bit nicer. Okay. See, like even cutting something like that out and sticking it on the front of the envelope would be good. All right, so I could have put this on kind of the tag like that, but you know, there is some picture there. I could have maybe stuck something in the corner, but it just seemed to not, it blended too much. So I thought, you know, the inside, perfect, 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 perfect. So we'll do the same here with this. Just a thin bead of our Tombow multi-purpose glue and adhere this to the inside of the envelope. If you even want to get fancy and you don't mind paying for the cardstock, you could even make your own envelopes. So you could make like a purple envelope, blueberry bushel one, or to match. All right, I am going to overlap this, like bring it out to the cardstock, not just keep it all on the white, just because I think that looks nice. But there we go. Another card using that Sweet Bugs bundle. So it doesn't just have to be about the bugs. We have some fruit here, some greenery, which I think looks nice. All right, the other thing I wanted to share with this sort of design, and of course this one as well, you don't have to just use this paper. Any DSP would work. So here is one that I quickly put together using a piece of scenery DSP. This is long retired, but it is beautiful. But this is where I used the glue runner and it stuck quick, and I wasn't able to really position my strips well, so you can see it's not evenly positioned, which is kind of sad because it was quite beautiful. I liked the colors. It's still a homemade card and somebody will get it, but that's just why I don't use the glue runner. All right, so thanks for joining me. Again, if you're going to shop with me and purchase $50 or more, I will send you a free catalog. And then if you want the instructions or the measurements for these, I will have them on my blog, as well as the other cards that we will be doing for the rest of the week. So tomorrow we will be doing more of kind of a, you can do some more die cuts for our cards, and then we're going to do a fun fold, and then we will have a box card at the end of the week. I did find these retired gems as well, and I didn't know if maybe they wanted to go on here. I'm gonna look it on here. I was kind of thinking these ones might be nice, that have the green and the blues, reds, or purples in it. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know. All right. Thank you for joining me again. Take care and see you tomorrow.